You're listening to the Gracecity Music Podcast from Gracecity Church in Lakeland, Florida. This podcast is intended to keep our community up to date with all that's happening in and through the ministry of Gracecity Music. To stay informed about releases and updates, follow us on Instagram at Gracecity Music.
You know what? It is what it is. And this is the Gracecity Music Podcast. Yeah. This is season 2, episode 5. Wow. Here we are again. The first episode we ever did, Jasmine, French, and Bobby were on it.
Oh, wow.
And now here we are all the way in season 2. And
a whole year later, hopefully we look a little different.
I hope so.
You guys both look great. Well, you know what Jesus said? Remember when Jesus was talking to the Pharisees? He said it's all about the outside of the cup.
Right.
Like, doesn't matter what's going on inside. It all matters just about image and clothes you wear and how things are on the outside.
Money.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Fame.
Hey, thanks for watching today, guys. It's going to be a great episode. Like I said, I got some great guests with us. I have Jake Ferguson with us today. Mr. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I met Jake. He was a student at Florida Southern College, which is like the Richie Rich private school in town that's like really kind of like elite. And he was building a studio. He got a grant from the university to build like a studio for them. And it's really cool. And then now, even after you left your senior year to come do GCLI, you just graduated. Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you.
And that studio's still there.
Yeah.
You left them with a gift.
I did. Yeah.
So cool, man.
Yeah. I still have actually some of my stuff there that I have to get eventually.
Yeah, you need to go get that.
I have a whole
stuff.
drum set that I should.
We should go over there and just kind of write.
I should just, show up.
They still like.
You got a key?
I don't have a key.
Oh.
No. But I probably could somehow.
There's probably like an open window.
What's the president's name?
Anchor.
Ann.
Yeah.
We got to hit up Ann.
I'll hit up my boy Mike Crawford. He's great.
Who's that?
He's the dean.
Oh, okay.
He's a great guy.
I used to stand outside. I used to walk outside my front door when I lived off of Success Street, and I could hear the worship. They would do outdoor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that you?
I don't.
Oh yeah,
I think it was me.
Because I remember being like,
it was like worship nights.
And you're like, oh yeah, last night we had like a.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I heard Good Grace just freaking.
So that's Jake, and Jake has an awesome new song on our new record that's unreleased called "Jesus Is Coming," and the whole vibe of it is really, really cool and really prophetic to the times, and I'm excited about that song.
Yeah,
man.
Me too. I'm so excited.
It's dope.
We actually wrote it at the studio.
We did write it at the Florida Southern. Whoa!
Yep.
The lines just crossed. Thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah,
dude.
glad to be here.
Like I said, Jasmine French is back.
Yes. Hello.
And Jasmine, I don't know if this is news yet, but maybe it'll be like out in like when this comes out in 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
But you are now over all GCYC worship.
Yes.
High five to that, dude.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I'm so pumped about it. John sat me down probably like 2 weeks ago before I went to Alaska. Shout out AK, Christina Land. And we just talked through some things about this past 3 years that I've been doing worship, and I'm just ready to take on a new role.
Let's go, man.
Ready for it.
Dude, you're going to crush it. Because you know why? You have the fun factor.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
And the youth needs the fun factor, dude. They don't want like,
real
like emotional,
right.
real introspective worship.
Vibey
They want to have like me and Bobby. They want to have like a really good freaking. They want to backflip off some stuff and have a good time. And you've been serving over there too, Jake, huh?
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's been great.
Thanks for doing
fun.
that. Well, Jazz, thanks for being here. And then Bobby.
I'm back.
He's back in a bucket hat. Talk to me about the conversation you were having with your ears before this.
Yeah, so I have to wear my headphones like a DJ because I have to make sure the bucket hat is secure.
The image.
Can't have the fisherman vibes.
If I put, it turns into weird fisherman vibes if I put my headphones on the normal way.
You know what? It's the outside of the cup, Bobby.
It's the outside. It's the image, and I just want to look good in this podcast.
Oh, man. And Bobby just took on a new role. This is huge. But he is transitioning from our music director role at the church to the worship pastor of Gracecity, Tampa. How's that going, man?
It's going good. Like everything we've done thus far has been incredible, and the team's amazing already. We've been building just with we call them culture nights that we've had once a month, and people have showed up and are really interested in being a part, and a lot of Tampa people that are just around, that have heard about it and have showed up to our culture nights and are like, yeah, I do worship, or I play guitar, or I just want to be a door greeter, or I have some production experience and I love doing slides and stuff like that. So it's been really cool. It's awesome to start, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Well, we're proud of you, man. And if you know Bobby, he's always been drummer guy, youth worship leader, production guy, helping produce tracks. But I'm really excited for you to just go and be worship pastor and just go for it. And you're gonna crush it. And your wife Kenzie along with you, and the Demaries and the Hughes, and it's gonna be a really fun season, man.
Yeah, it's just gonna be an overflow of what happens here in Lakeland, and that's what I want it to be. The culture to be the same, and to just do, everything that you've brought as a worship pastor here. I just want to mimic that.
It's awesome.
And that's what's kept me and all of us around, is just the culture of the worship. And I feel like, that's not everywhere.
Sure.
And so that's my goal, is I want people to be able to come serve and feel like they're having the time of their life on a Sunday.
I love that.
So.
Well, let's keep fishing, man. Let's keep fishing for men.
With my fisher hat.
Let's just keep fishing for men, like Jesus said.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, what is the topic of today? Why would I have this panel together? Why would I have these three? Well, the topic of today's episode is Ask Anything. It's listener mail. So we had people write into our Instagram for about a week. Also, my personal Instagram, and said, hey, we're doing an episode of the podcast where you can ask anything you want, and we're going to answer it on this episode. And so I got some awesome questions. Today's episode might go a little bit longer, just because I want to hit some of this stuff, and people really turned up for this. We have I just took the best of what I thought were the best questions, and tons of people from out of state. I think maybe one of the only in-state one was Jesse, our guitar player, sent in a pretty funny one that we'll get to. But they're really good, and I think going to be helpful for just worship leaders listening and people that are working with worship teams. I think it's going to be good.
It's cool.
Should we dive in?
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Cool. The first question that we got in was from @Timothy.Sullivan. And he asked, how do you handle unprepared musicians on your worship team? I'm trying to build worship culture. All right. I'll say a quick thing, and then I'll open it up for the table. That is tough, and I think that starting from the beginning, the more that you can get out in front of this issue, as far as I think what we do is we don't use music stands. We have a really short rehearsal time the morning of, so there's not, if you come unprepared, you're gonna kind of get steamrolled. You know what I mean? Right. I don't think there's really that. We don't really have that area of not being prepared, because you got to show up. We don't have enough time to know, to have that kind of thing. And I think those kind of things, setting up the parameters of, hey, we're going to all just come knowing the stuff. We're not going to have music in front of us. Setting those baseline things have helped us. I don't know.
Right.
What do you guys think? How do we handle unprepared musicians? What should Timothy do?
As the music director position, I've tried to incorporate practice tracks are a big deal. So utilizing,
explain what that means.
So planning center, when you have a song in your set list, you can attach documents and files to each song. And I think Multitracks actually has a subscription,
like a rehearsal mix,
mix subscription that you can use. But we wanted to save some dough, so we just it doesn't take long. I mean, but basically what I've done is you just throw all the multi-tracks into whatever you're using, Logic or Ableton, and then you can create mixes for whatever instrument you want to be the loudest in the mix. And so you just real detail. You go negative 12 dB on every instrument, every track, and then whatever track you want to be the loudest, put it at 0, drums, bass, whatever, bounce it. MP3, throw it in the planning center for whatever song you're trying to learn. That's helpful for the ear of the musician to know what to play and not just have to doodle.
Yeah.
And then, obviously the chord charts and lyrics and stuff. But
it's great,
for me as a musician, that helps, especially drums, because in a mix, if you listen to it on Spotify, you don't always hear exactly what the drummer's playing. So in that case, you can hear it really well. I think
That's great,
helpful.
Bob. And I think we have that culture of, if you don't come knowing this stuff, you're going to stick out.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I hope that helps. I hope that was a good answer. Practice tracks are a huge help. And maybe set those parameters with resources and just don't give. I think, if you have 2 rehearsals for every Sunday and you give all these people a lot of room to, I don't know if all that stuff's necessary rather than going, practice your stuff by yourself, memorize your stuff and come knowing it. And the people that just don't do that, maybe just don't get asked back to play. Because we all just kind of leave kind of stressed.
But one little last thing. Sometimes there's not the resource to do a practice track. Let's say you're a church that writes your own music and you don't have a track, like a multi-track for it. It's not released or something.
Right.
We've run into that before. And all we have really is a demo or something. It kind of becomes your homework to take initiative of okay, there may not be something that I can learn off of, but what can I do that's going to make me seem like I'm prepared? Whether you're writing parts that aren't there,
I came up with this stuff. Do you guys like it?
Yeah, just have something so you don't show up and go, well, there wasn't anything.
Yeah.
But it's well, you could probably be a little bit more proactive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
and that's just something that you can do as a musician to be a little bit more professional.
Beautiful.
Sure.
Next question. This came from @JesusGilvega _
I love him.
who is Jesse, one of our lead electric players. He played on the new live album that is unreleased. But this question, I'm going to hand off to Jasmine. What reality show would Grace City Music star in? If there was a reality show that we were going to go on, what would be the kind of reality show that this team would be a part of?
I know it.
She knows it.
Definitely because of our fan base. We were just talking about the kind of people we're reaching. Like my dad,
Yes.
Florida
Duck Dynasty.
Yeah. Duck Dynasty.
That is it.
I can see us.
Duck Dynasty.
Seriously, I could see us there.
Oh.
I could,
That's
right?
a great vibe.
That's great.
This is where this is coming from Jasmine. Jasmine's dad has gone viral on TikTok. It's @FloridaWoodsman99.
Yep.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
And
Spot on.
he's got this incredible beard, and he's all about hog hunting.
Yes.
And it's got 25,000 followers. And so I think I just commented as a joke on Jasmine's post this last week. I said,
I can't.
maybe you could show Luke his profile in the thing when we do
Yeah.
this. Because I want to give him a shout out. Go follow him. He's a great follow. Because here's why. Because he shouted us
Why
out.
aren't we always shouting out my parents in our podcast?
Well, what happened was I commented
got
on Jasmine's photo, and I said, I'm sick of this. Your dad has so many followers. He needs to give us a shout out on his Florida Woodsman. And he actually did this really nice, kind
Super
shout out.
sweet.
And
Sweet.
go check it out.
Yeah.
But Duck Dynasty is the vibes.
I could see us on there.
Yeah.
I just could.
They're
We
they're
fit.
Christians.
They're Christians.
They gotta like worship music.
We fit in. I don't know. I feel like it's just I could see Chow out there. I just
For
could see
sure.
it.
Wayne, the
Lewis.
flip-
Yes, Wayne.
Lewis.
Yeah.
I could see Lewis out there. Bring some different
Get
to
on
the
a canoe
show.
and just hunt some hogs together.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Write
Every
a
day.
cool
Okay.
hunting worship song.
Yeah.
God do it. God just do it. Let's move on. @BlakeyPoo21 asked,
I like that.
when will the new album release? Any new merch? ? We are going to hopefully start releasing singles from this new live album in July and continue to release them throughout the summer, leading to a September full-length release. And so thank you for caring, Blakey Poo,
cool.
about the music. And we recorded this new live album back in end of May, I think. And we're going to finish overdubs this week. So it's all recorded, and now it's just mixing and mastering. And so that's on the way, and I think it's our best work yet. And I'm really excited for the church and people to hear it.
It's going to be awesome.
Very much. Cool. Next is a question from @AHolidayAtTheSea. I really like this guy. He's a worship leader in Miami. He said, production tips for live recordings.
Awesome.
Production tips for live recordings. I would say, maybe before I hand it off to maybe Bobby and Jake and Jazz a little bit too, but this was something that Bobby and I kind of grew up doing. I didn't know much about music when I was 16, but I somehow knew how to record a live album and we were learning how to do that kind of like what makes a good live capture and where to put the mics and all that sort of thing. And that's kind of how I got my job at Southeastern in 2012 was they wanted to do annual live albums. And that's like a random thing I knew how to do as far as how to get it done. And I would say it's a good thing to do for the church. Even if no one ever hears your album, nobody ever like does your songs outside your church. It's a really cool team building thing to like work on a project together and to like try to like prophetically listen to what God has for your team and for your church. I don't think nothing builds team culture like attempting to do a project like that. And so I would say, to anyone out there thinking about doing it, just go for it. But I think there are a couple things that you can do that make it go great. There's different kinds of approaches of, overdubbing things, not overdubbing things, where you're placing mics in the room, that sort of thing, overdubbing crowd. Bobby, you want to sound off first? Maybe just on a little short list.
I think as far as production goes, I've tried to have like before we play a song on a Sunday, whatever the demo is, I just want it to be a good picture of what the song can be. Like don't do 50% of it. I would say try to get the whole thing like
you're talking pre-production.
Yeah, pre-production, like getting it like to where when you can listen to it in the car and it's like, well, this sounds like a pretty done, product.
And that's somewhat more of a newer thing. Like back in the day when we were working on live albums, it was just like, oh, let's just go for it up there with acoustic but the pre-production was more sitting in a circle with the band and going, what does electric part fits with the vibe and where should the drums come up and the drums come down?
Right.
And now with technology, we have these awesome opportunities to really pre-produce a lot of vibes.
Right.
And really see if stuff works on a computer before in the room with the band.
Right. So stuff has changed for sure. And it doesn't have to be like you may want the song to be bare bones. It may not need a lot of production. But just I think we've been able to hit a song a lot harder in the live experience when we have something to work off of, to listen to prepare for.
Yeah. Right.
Being that we do have short rehearsal times, but the first time we want to play it, we want to kill it. But what I really love Jake's take on production. He did help with a couple songs on this last project we recorded. And I love the outside of the box elements that you use. For me, I struggle with doing the cookie cutter and like, this is just what it feels like it should do because it's, whatever, the norm of worship. But I love your take on like, how do you incorporate something different into a track or into a demo that you're like, this may not work or this may be, but like most of the time it's awesome. So how do you get your brain there in the pre-production side and just go with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it just comes down to like, I just love to listen to a bunch of different music, worship or not. So I think that really helps make my brain bigger when it comes to figuring out different production ideas and what I want to throw into a worship song.
Totally.
And I think, I don't know, I just like listening to albums and figuring out, hey, this is like not a worship album, but there's a lot of elements here I could see throwing into this live album or this studio album, and it sounding cool and different, and not just sounding like every other worship album. So I think, I don't know, at least for me, I try to just always, if I have an idea, just lay it down or just throw it in there and see how it fits. And if it's starting to maybe morph into another idea, then that idea fed off to another idea. So I think just not being afraid to just go for it, I think, and just like let your brain just splatter paint on the computer.
That's cool.
What songs did we have you do pre-pro on this album?
I helped a
Why
little
Would I Wait?
With Why Would I Wait, and then Jesus is Coming a little bit too.
Two very fun songs on this new album.
And authentic, just from the sound of the music, because of that, because of how you incorporated the out of the box stuff. It's like, oh, I listened to this and I haven't heard a worship song have that in it before.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too was inspired by like Bon Iver too, because a lot of his like vocal samples sound different and like more natural, but it's also like fits in a more live setting too. Right. So I think that was part of it too.
Beautiful, man.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Next question comes from @Isaac Noah Peterson. And his question was, what was the last album that blew you away? What was the last like full-length album you listened to that you went, this blew me away? I'm going to maybe I'd love to hear from Jake and Jasmine on this.
Good question. Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the last album, I probably have a bunch, but the last one I can think of is an album called Nurture. It's by Porter Robinson. It's actually it's like electronic music, but he has a lot of like organic elements and stuff in the way he produces and sings all of his own stuff. So it's labeled electronic, but I wouldn't really it's like pop
He kind of sings in this bizarre high falsetto.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like a girl.
A little bit, yeah. He switches back and forth now. He used to just do that because I think he was like insecure about it, but now I think he just does it more for creative. Yeah, but I think when I listened to, he came out with an album in 2014 and that blew up. Like he was like 18 and he was just like basically world famous, like going on tour and stuff. And then he stopped making albums under his name and started just doing random side project stuff. Cool. And he hadn't released stuff until just this year. So it's been like 6 years since he's released something, and he just like, you can tell it's like a whole body of work, and you listen to it front to back. And what I love about it too is he's such a visual like creator too. So all of his, like he has live sets, or he has the whole album basically, you can watch it, him performing it, and all the visuals he makes himself into. So like when I watch it and I listen to it, I'm like, this is like very, like I watched it with Michael at his house, and we like finished it and walked outside, and we had felt like we had been like just like watching a concert for like 2 hours, and it had only been like 30 minutes. So it's like he like throws you in and stuff. And I think a lot of his elements, I'm like, this is so sick. I've never heard it before. And so I think that's why it stood out to me a lot.
That's cool.
But yeah.
You guys, you and some of the intern guys are really into that guy, Porter Robinson.
Yeah.
And then you guys also have this like crush obsession thing going on with Dua Lipa right now.
I think Luke does,
Yeah, Luke's here. But there's this thing, there's this like joke where it's like, man, there's nothing better than Dua.
Yes.
There's nothing better than Dua Lipa. Like, God bless her. Like, she is the cream of the crop to you guys.
I guess so. I don't know.
It's more this humor thing.
I think she just knows her vibe and she just runs with it. And she's actually very talented too. There's a Tiny Desk that she does, and I was like, she's actually very good. Like,
Tiny Desk
vocally,
is a series of videos on YouTube by NPR that are great.
Really good.
But she pulls on your heart in a certain way as well.
I guess so.
Okay, I'm talking more about Luke.
Not as much as Luke does. Luke's very
like
like
an actual crush.
Well, just talk to me about your heart for Dua, Luke.
I don't know. I think she's just like very talented. I think like watching her stuff from like a few years ago to now, it's like crazy how like much she's grown, and every live performance she does is just like amazing.
Like you feel like you know her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to get to know her.
Yeah.
In love with her.
Have you tried to
In
DM?
love.
No,
her?
there's no reason. She has a boyfriend right now.
Oh, good job,
Shoot.
Luke. Good job. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Jasmine, what about you? What's the last like full length? Not a single. What's the last like full length album that you were like, oh man?
I feel like I'm cheating if I say anything of Justin, so I'm just gonna disclaimer.
Go
It's
back and
always Justin.
listen to episode 1 on that. Yeah.
It's always Justin. But I don't know if you guys have heard this like hype around this girl, Olivia Rodrigo. She's like this 18-year-old girl, super like angsty, just got through a breakup, kind of like a mini pop Taylor Swift.
Oh, cool.
And I don't really like Taylor Swift. I'm gonna probably get a lot of hate for that. I think she's great. Like, I appreciate her,
The
but
Swifties
not my
will
vibe.
find
Yeah,
you
the Swifties
on
are coming
YouTube,
at the
on this
Belieber.
YouTube,
Yeah, they're coming for me. But I love Olivia's like pop take on this sad but angsty breakup. The whole album it just came out like maybe 2 weeks ago. From start to finish, there's like all these different emotions that this girl has. She's like, I'm angsty, I'm mad, but then I'm sad and I'm happy, and like just a really cool from start to finish. Yeah, it's like a journey. You listen to it from first track to the last track, and everyone says it just brings them back to like their high school breakup.
And what's the name again?
Sour by Olivia Rodrigo.
Sour by Olivia Rodrigo. Check it out.
Oh,
It's cool.
Jinx.
I'll do it.
Wait, what are you not gonna answer it?
Yeah, you answer,
You're
Chase.
like, you know good music.
This is a shout out to Michael ID. He got me randomly just a nice love gift, which was Outcast vinyl of AT Aliens. ATLians, but it's ATL, but like aliens. And it's this one of their older albums that is like all like a comic book, and it like comes with a comic book. That's cool. And it's really creative and really cool. And like sometimes old rap like doesn't, I don't know, it just sounds like maybe corny, or like the beats are corny, or like, you know, like the rhymes are really cool because of who they are, but like, and the whole thing really held up. Like it was like a really cool just album to bump at the house right now. That's like what's on my desk. Bobby?
I'll keep it short, but you actually turned me on to him, and found him in his past bands, Post Animal. He's from Stranger Things. Joe Keery does a project called DJO that is like, if I had to kind of like talk about my favorite kind of sounding music, it's retro Beatles, little darker,
more psychedelic.
But it just psychedelic, but it just sounds like he took all of his money and made the best sounding record you could make. And I listen to it all the time.
It's awesome.
It's called 2020 by GGO.
Cool.
Check it out.
Yes, that is still a great album, absolutely. Let's take a turn. Let's take a turn on the questions. This comes from one of our old keyboard players, Michael Ascari. And he is one of the best people. And this is at Cesaria Mike is his handle. He's very much into saving the environment right now, and I just love, he did some Peace Corps stuff and just love what he's working on right now. He had asked, what would discovery of alien life mean for Christianity? Now, here's the setting. From the COVID-19 relief bill, Donald Trump put into the bill that the government had to disclose, or was it the CIA? The CIA had to disclose to, or is it the Pentagon?
It's the Pentagon, I think.
The Pentagon has to disclose to Congress everything they know about alien and UFO life by June 1st, which was yesterday. And now they're giving them to the end of the week. So this week of going about alien life forms in craft. 3 believers here, 3 mature believers. Alien life, what does it do to your faith?
I feel like for me, I mean, I'm low-key kind of scared of aliens, but I mean, maybe they're chill. But for me, I think just simply it would prove, I guess, that God's bigger than we think. That's all I got. I feel that's how I feel.
I have some thoughts I'm going to sound off on, but I want to hear from y'all first.
I mean, we've talked about UFOs before, and your stance on it, I was like, this is kind of cool. Like, I'd never heard it before, about like how UFOs could be like angels, and like how they always like come in with like a vehicle per se.
Right.
And so, like, I don't know if this is a hot take, but maybe like aliens are angels.
Right.
You know, like who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. This kind of stuff my brain doesn't ever reach. Like I'm very like whatever's happening in front of me is all I can think about, and Kenzie can tell you that. Wherever like this room, like my mind is not thinking about anything that's going on outside of this room.
That's a really healthy thing. I wish I was that way.
But it gets me in trouble a lot because it means I'm terrible at communicating outside of what I'm doing. But I think if I found out there were aliens, like for real, I think I would just say, that's really fascinating. And I think for my faith,
but the whole Adam and Eve and you know the us being, you know, maybe the crown of creation or the new heavens and the new earth, it doesn't mess with your like Christianity.
No, because I think probably what Jasmine said is it's just like God knows what's going on Mercury and on Juno.
Right. I mean, he created everything, so it's like,
and like I don't have to worry about it, you know, like or have to like get my brain stuck on it because I just got to worry about his plan for my life.
Right. But even on Earth, like we haven't even discovered, I don't know the
like what's in the bottom of the ocean, right?
We've discovered more like, about
that's
like,
a huge part of it. So a lot of these UFO things they're going down to the ocean and stuff. These things that they're capturing on camera are also in the water. So Obama came out and just gave a statement about that there's these increased numbers of they don't think it's from China or from Russia. I think it's from elsewhere. Okay, but what Jake was saying was my idea is, and John and I talk about this a lot too, and I don't know if you've ever lived in parts of the country or parts around the world. Different people struggle with different things in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Cultures. There's different prevailing sins, strongholds. There's different, like, if when you're a believer, like you kind of see like, oh man, like where we're from in Seattle, like God out of everything. Like it's a lot more pagan. It's a lot more like humanist, like worship of self.
Right.
Where like down here in Florida, like it's more like pride and people being like pharisaical, like religious, like hyper religious, and like that's a stronghold. And like, so there's all these like princes of the air. Like there's all these ideas of that, like the Bible talks about principalities and different beings that rule. And there's just a lot of language like that in the Old Testament of Elohim and God being the Lord of Lords. And so I think that there can be beings that are princes of the air that are perhaps use vehicles or perhaps more that are actually maybe spiritual, but maybe more physical. Maybe angels and demons are more physical than we think they are. And that like Elijah was taken up in a crowd, like a ship, and there's a lot more physicality. Jesus ascended. I don't know. There's a lot more physicality, I think, maybe to our faith than like ghosts and like what we would think. That was what Jake was touching on from our. That's the kind of stuff we talk backstage and at when we're doing 4 services and I have nothing enough to talk about. So so that's our thoughts on that. Tesaria Mike, stay up. Don't let the aliens get you down. Next question. I am Josiah Kent. What's the most odd or random way that a song you wrote has come together? What's the most odd or random? And let's keep it to Gracecity music. What's the most odd or random way that a song came together?
Shout out to my boy Josiah. It's great.
Is that your boy?
Yeah, he's great. I think for me, one time I wrote a song like in a car, like driving with my buddies, and that felt pretty like random, like because we were just like chilling, and then like from start to finish, like we just wrote a song in the car.
No guitars or nothing.
No, it was just like our brains were just like working really, like in sync with each other.
Dope.
So I was like, I guess that was only
right.
I don't know.
We have this new song called "Lost in Your Love" that Mac is singing on the new live album, and so what had happened was we wrote this song at the songwriting retreat that was like me, Bobby, Michael, and this guy named Josh Holiday, and it was a great song, and I think we all felt like really, really good about it. And Mac had already sent in a few songs for the live album, and they were good, and there were like these fast songs. Like, a couple of them were fast, actually. They were cool. And then I was meeting with Andrew going over all the songs, and I was like, this Lost in Your Love song's dope. Like, me, Bobby, and I think it might be one of the stronger, like, or if not the strongest one that's like coming on this album. Right. And I was like, I don't know, like, should I sing it? Should Bobby sing it? Should Michael sing it? Like, what should we do? And he's like, what if Mac sang it? It's cool. And so we're like, well, so we kind of gave this song to Mac, and like, would you want to sing this instead of one of your own? And he was like, cool song, but the bridge is not it. He was like, it's a cool song, but the bridge is like not it.
Back to the
he's like, you guys should rework it. Like, he's like, it feels like it should be the biggest part of the song, and it's not. And we were like, oh, okay. So then we were at the Easter egg hunt for Easter.
Yeah.
And
Dominic was in a helicopter.
And you had your dog.
Yeah, I was walking around with Remy.
Yeah, but it's a pretty big dog.
Yeah, it's like a mid-sized doodle.
And we went back to the green room. We were like, we're going to write the biggest soaring bridge that Mac's ever heard in his life. And we wrote a new bridge, and we said it to him. He's like, yeah, this one's a lot better. Let's do it.
Let's do that.
Shout out to Remy. It was all
shout
Remy.
out Remy.
So that was a fun, interesting process on a song, and that was fun to me. Lost in Your Love, that's on the new Midnight album. I think we're going to call the album Midnight, and that'll be out in the summer sometime. Last question, we're going to shut this thing down on the listener mail episode. This one comes from Zach K. Bates, at Zach K. Bates, great worship pastor up in Puyallup, Washington.
Zach.
He is crushing it. What are the characteristics of healthy collaboration?
Even better question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
So what are the elements of healthy collaboration, working together in a healthy way.
Yeah.
What makes that happen? Sound off.
I think the most important thing is being confident in what you have to offer and not allowing insecurity to take over. And kind of, I feel like once that happens, you just dampen not only your whole mood for the entire, whether it's a podcast, filming, or a songwriting thing, you just dampen everyone's mood. Everyone knows when insecurity starts to creep in and it just gets awkward and weird, you know? So I think being confident is key to healthy collaboration, because then you know you have something to offer, but you're not too prideful where someone else couldn't help you out as well.
Great.
I think too, like knowing how the people you're writing or creating with work and their like workflow of how they create is really crucial too, because I feel like, and like letting them know too, like just being vocal about it and communicating that, because I think that goes a long way too of like, hey, no idea is a bad idea. Like just throw it on the board and,
Safe
and
place.
like doesn't matter. Like that'll lead us somewhere else. So I think just making it clear to the people, especially people you don't really know as well, maybe, and you're in a writing session with them or working with them, just letting them know, hey, just like throw at anything. Like it's free game. Like it can be the weirdest thing ever. Like we're just trying to make the best song together, like collaboratively.
True.
No, that's great.
Any thoughts, Bob?
I think make it fun.
Yeah.
Like make the collaboration fun.
Fun factor. Ramp up the fun
Yeah,
factor.
make it a fun experience so that you can walk away from it, no matter what the outcome was. It still was like worth your while, and everyone involved feels like you care about them and they care about you.
Right.
Because it's not really about at the end of the day like what you came up with, but it's more about like the heart that was in it, like the heart that you put into it.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, no one likes grumpies. So
So true. I think fun factor is so huge for healthy collaboration. And I think what you said, Jasmine, and I've talked about this a few times before. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but you know, having either eyes of the spirit or eyes of the flesh. So if I'm in a collaborative setting, if I have eyes of the flesh, I'm going, man, I'm not as good as Bobby at the drums, like on rhythm and like understanding rhythm, and like, man, I suck. And it's like, or it's like, man, I'm not like as fun as like Jasmine, and like I can't get like young people like jumping around, like I'm 31 now. Man, I suck. And it's like, and I could look at like, you know, Jake and be like, man, I don't have his vibe. I can't wear like something like that on my neck, like that. Man, that's I'm trash. That's eyes of the flesh, or eyes of the spirit would go. Man, I'm going to watch what Bobby does with rhythm, and I'm going to learn from that. And that's going to make me a lot better person.
Yep.
Like the way that Jasmine leads, like I want to watch like, what do young people like? How do they interact? What kind of songs get them going? Like I need to know that. I want to learn. And what is Jake's vibe, and how can I learn that? That's only going to make me a better person. Right. And when you have eyes of the spirit like that, these kind of settings, collaborative settings, become pressure cookers where everybody becomes really good really quick.
Yep. Right.
So it's like I came into SEU at like 22 as a worship director, and I had kids that were in music theory 4 and like singing in Latin and like, you know, they had incredible gospel voices. And it was like, I had the choice of either being like, man, am I just going to shrink back and just think I'm trash? Or am I going to like learn from all these different people? And I walked away after 5 years of working there, such a better musician, leader, pastor. So that's ultimately your responsibility as a worship pastor or as a member of the team of going, man, I'm going to have eyes of the spirit and like see the goodness of God in people and not let that make me feel smaller.
That's great.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for watching this episode, guys. I hope this was helpful. If you're a worship pastor on a worship team, whatever, our own team, I hope this was helpful for you. Just things coming up. We just recorded a Spanish version of Rock of Ages with Johnny Pena. We're excited. We love what God's doing in his life, and that's going to be a really cool thing to put out before this live album comes out. And then we got Tampa coming up. We got a culture night. In the official intro service. When is the first intro service?
Let me check my calendar.
But they got interest service coming up. Check out Grace City Tampa.
July 11th.
July 11th.
Everybody.
If you want to go out and go to a service in
7-Eleven.
Tampa, go support these guys, and let's make that an amazing place to experience God in Tampa. I would love to pray over Bobby in the
Yes.
Tampa thing right now. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
God, we just thank you for Bobby Walker and the whole
Yes.
team out at Grace City Tampa. God, we just thank you for what you're doing. We just thank you for taking new ground, God.
Yeah.
You're not just leaving us to do the same thing week in, week out, God, but you're
Right.
calling us to new things. And so, God, I just pray that you would just continue to be in Bobby, work through him. God, I just pray that he would just continue to shine your light, God, to people. You would just build up his confidence and his ability, his energy. God, we just pray for the whole team that there would be such a synergy, positivity, and a fun
Yes.
factor, God, that Bobby was just talking about. Would it just be such a fun place to come and encounter you in Tampa? God, we're trusting you with that location. In Jesus' name, we all said,
Amen.
Amen. Thanks for being on, guys. And we'll see you next time. Adios.
Let's do it.
Thank you for listening to the Grace City Music Podcast from Grace City Church in Lakeland, Florida. To stay informed about releases and updates, follow us on Instagram at Grace City Music.